So we're back with Thomas Mooneagle. We're really excited to talk to you about your new program we're going to be doing in July.
Yeah.
So
Up there. It's been a long time
coming. I know, you're coming to Pittsburgh.
I know, really.
I'm excited to meet you in person.
I know. We've done we've had very long conversations.
Yeah. Over the years.
I know, isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
I'm always interested to see like the way you cut our interviews down. I was like, wow, we talked about a lot. And then they use the extra stuff for your exclusive thing.
Yeah. Like, we've split yours too into 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Like part 1, part 2.
Bonus part 3.
Yeah, we did that for 1, yeah.
Like, oh, part of the bonus, the extra, it's like, the little special features on the DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause some of your stories are like on their own. Like we've done interviews and you've like told us stories, and I'm like, this is its own, like it's just an episode. It's so good. But yeah, we're really glad you're on it again, and we're excited to see you in Pittsburgh and to do, like, I'm excited to do a class with you. We talk about it a lot, I feel like, on the show.
Yeah.
Like, that you teach and stuff, and now you're coming and we get to actually like be a part of it. Yeah, and we've talked about it on the podcast a couple times, hyping it up for July.
Yeah.
We're like,
so we'll have to have you back on again closer to
if
it.
you want.
If you want.
I love to talk.
Yeah, we'll have you on closer to it again.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about what we're going to be doing.
Sure. So, I started, I was like, should I teach like something that's based on my book, or should I do like more, sort of introductory stuff? And I've taught the book class a couple times, and I did that even last summer. So I was like, you know what? Because last summer I really wanted to teach an intro to shamanism and sort of like shamanic journeying and all the techniques that get you started.
Okay.
But it just so happened that where I was teaching, they had just had that class like a few weeks earlier. So it's like, okay, we'll just teach up runes in my book.
Okay.
So what we'll be doing is basically learning the basics for shamanism, like, calling in the directions, learning to journey and to like the different worlds. So going to the lower world, finding your power animal, starting to build a working relationship with the power animal, doing healing work, or, getting answers with your power animal will be like one big portion of the class. And then we'll be going also to the upper world to meet your upper world teacher.
This is going to unlock some things.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
And I'm trying to think if we want to do any middle world work, because that's like where I'm like the fuzziest, I think.
Okay.
But I think for an introductory class, lower world, upper world, getting your connections, having a few journeys for folks to do is probably the best thing to start with. And that's going to take like the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll have to make everybody dance.
Okay, that's fine.
You have to dance your power animal. And if you're worried about like people looking at you, don't. They're all too worried about what people are looking at them doing. And so they're just like,
she's like, sign me up. I'm like,
sign me up.
Dancing? Okay.
Like, well, this is not like rave dancing or anything. It's just it's different. You'll see.
It's a safe space.
Okay.
Yeah. I always, everyone's so worried about like, and for me, I don't vocalize much with my power animal when I dance it, because it's a very quiet, stealthy animal. And I'm like, I don't even know how this thing sounds. I can't make those sounds.
Yeah.
So, but there'll be different things. We'll be, learning about ceremony, but also connection and, healing. So shamanic tradition, a lot of the time is doing healing work for yourself, doing healing work for others. Sometimes getting answers to problems, getting advice. So I always say, like, when I was setting up my business, I went to journey to my power animal. And I always find this funny that people like sometimes they'll do channel messages and they'll get this like long flowery thing about, the cosmos and the universe. And I was like, I just want to know how I get started.
Yeah.
And my power animals like gave me 2 sentences. They're like, get an accountant and get a website. And I was
Step 1.
And so I did all those things, and then the day after I did all those things, like an old friend from high school called me and it's like, "Hey, this may sound crazy, but I want to fly you out to LA and have you do work on us and my boyfriend and stuff." And I was like, "Are you shitting me?" I was like,
Yeah.
it was just like, "You did all your homework. Here you go."
I love that whenever that happens, like that's unexpected things that like spirits can like bring in sometimes.
I feel like it's a good like ta-da.
Yeah, I had a paintbrush thing recently.
Yeah.
We were working with a spirit, and then I was like gifted these paintbrushes randomly, and they were exactly like what I need, and they were like delivered. I don't know, I just love it. It's like magic.
Almost like magic.
Yeah, you know what I mean, like.
Well, the thing with magic is like you have the different camps of it, where you have a lot of times this comes with clients, depending on their background, and they come from what I call the vending machine school of magic, meaning I want to be able to just put in my little A15 and get my Kit Kats out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, magic doesn't quite work that way. It's not like a vending machine. I insert this, do this, get this. I'm like, no, you put the stuff in and then you step back and you see what happens. And sometimes it's very unexpected what happens. In fact, when you journey, which is going to be, pretty much a lot of the class be learning to journey, learning to send your consciousness into the other realms of spirit, to commune and get information and to gather power. And when I say gather power, people think, they have this idea of like I'm amassing some great force. It's like it's not like that. You're gathering the resources and energy you need to do healing work, to mend relationships, to get information and guidance. So that is, but it's talk about being powerful, meaning being full of power, being full of the energies of life. So, but a lot of people come into it with this like power over, as opposed to like just being in power, being part of the flow. So a big part of the practice is like getting out of the way. And sometimes, particularly when you're doing work on people that are not just clients but are in your life, that becomes tricky because you have like ego attachments too in there, and you're like, well, why didn't they do what I say? Or
Yeah.
Why did they go over here and do this instead? And like they're disrespecting this or disrespecting me, and it's like, you gotta just kind of let go of that.
Yeah.
And the more you let go of like how you want things to happen, like the more like bizarre and out there things can happen, which I love. I love when you go on a journey, you're going and you get something that like, I was not expecting that to happen at all. That was weird.
Yeah.
Because that, for me, that's like a sign that I'm doing something right. Like, because like I didn't know to like create that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, wow, And when you're in a group of people and you're all like doing the same thing or the same journey, it's really interesting because like you'll get a piece of it, and as you go around the circle, like everyone else will like add a little piece, and you put it all together, it makes complete sense.
Oh, this is gonna be so cool.
This is gonna be transformative for me.
So what is the difference between a power animal and then let's say a spirit guide? Can you explain the nature of like your power animal and?
Well, I mean, a power animal is a spirit guide.
Yeah.
But it is one that has chosen you. Like it says you go to find it, right? Mm-hmm. But you don't like go that animal wherever. That's what I want. Because I've seen people try to do that, it never works. You'll go and look around, and it will find you. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, it has picked you to work with.
Okay.
So it either has something you need, like that you're lacking in your energy, or you need to learn, or it sees a potential in you that it wants to nurture.
Okay.
Okay.
That's really cool.
This might sound like a stupid question, but do people have a lot of power animals, or is there like one main and then?
Yeah, you can have more than one, and you, depending on what you're doing in life, you might have a bunch. I mean,
okay.
And so, like, I have several animal spirits that I work with. Now, not all of them are power animals. Some of them are just sort of allies.
Okay.
Like I have two main ones that I work with, but I also have what I call friends.
Mhm.
I'll go see. So I don't know if it's probably too far away. You can see on the wall behind me, but I've got like a picture of a crow up there, and it's not technically a power animal, but I have a lot of interaction with crow.
Okay. Okay. So, if you have like, let's say you have like you're drawn to certain animals, is that ever like is that like them kind of cluing you in and to like what your power or animal could be? Like, I don't know, like if you've always felt safe around a certain type of animal, like crows or something like
Cats.
that. Yeah, cats.
It could be, but if I met either of my power animals in the waking world, I would be a little bit wary. Like, are you going to eat me or scratch my eyes out or anything?
Okay, so they can be large or they can be as small as a little, like a mouse.
Yeah, don't overlook the Yoda effect, where lots of power packed into a little container. So, like, a mouse can be a very strong power animal. I mean, they all, again, you're measuring, I guess, like kind of the Western idea of power.
Okay.
We always equate with force or predatory kind of aspects, but like prey animals outnumber predators. And so, I mean, the mouse can teach you. I have not worked with mouse. I've had issues with mice in the past. Like being in the kitchen, I'm like, no,
Yeah. I heard a girl talking about power animals, and she included more like fantastical, like spirits as well, like unicorns, dragons, phoenixes. Does that happen? Does that fall in that realm, or is that just like a different take on it? What are your thoughts?
I mean, you can encounter, I guess, what you call mythical kind of creatures, but usually for your main power animal, it's gonna be more mundane.
Okay.
And, usually, like there's different power animals that you get that like stay permanently merged with you in certain traditions. Like they're like a internal protector. And I have one that would be considered more mythical.
Okay.
But I also have a different one that is like, it's platypus. I mean, that's what it is. It's platypus. Which looks mythical.
Yeah.
But is actually, physical in this realm all at the same time. So I've seen dragon spirits, but mostly more in the middle realm.
Okay.
Rather than in the lower realm. You want your power animals to be coming from the lower realm. And the reason for that has to do with like lower realm and upper realm, nobody lies. So if you get information from there, it's factually true. Now you have to always look at the context with that too, because like what somebody says is like true in the context that they said it.
Okay.
But I also tell people like spirits don't have to talk to you. They don't have to answer your question. Just like someone can ask you something extraordinarily personal and you can say none of your business. Like you don't need to know that.
Yeah.
I don't know that. Not every spirit has the answer to every question.
Yeah, we like go in thinking that they're like this all-knowing like source of wisdom.
Here to fix all our problems.
The cosmic vending machine. I mean,
yeah, literally. So we talked about this in other episodes. What got you into shamanism? Like, what was the kickoff?
I mean, I was interested in spirit guides early on as a teenager, and one of the chapters in one of the books that I read on spirit guides talked about, power animals, and I kind of globbed onto that more, but I didn't really pick it up like in earnest until probably 2007, and there just happened to be like a free like introductory like evening where you just literally go meet your power animal and upper world teacher. That was it. Just 2 little journeys, and it was like donation based. So I went to that and didn't learn anything else how to do with them. But there were like groups that you could come back every month to do, and over a series of years, because it's like once a month, you learned kind of like to sort of start to trust what you were getting. It would vary up like what we would do each time. And then I started to like train in earnest with actually 2 different teachers. in the same year. It was weird. I met both of them at the same time. And so one was more the South American shamanism, working with the mesa and the healing spirits and the stones. And then the other one was like all journey-based work, which is more core shamanism. And so core shamanism is anthropologists looked across the world, across different cultures, and saw what was common in all these different cultures. And so like shamanic leanings underpin just about all the religions at some point in their history. And particularly a lot of the pagan religions, it may be like wearing different clothing. People think of shamanism, they think of Native American spirituality. But if you look at some like the Celtic and Druidic, people would have familiars. And they function in not exactly the same, but it's like a similar vibe. It's like a cousin to the power animal, that you would work with an animal guide or an animal spirit. So these things like exist across different cultures. So people of power were associated with like, oh, they had this sort of animal that would come in and act in sort of a friendly way or a protective way.
So you mentioned your upper world teacher. What's the nature of like our upper world teachers?
Those vary quite a bit. And that's where you really get into like some mythic, I think, archetypes. So like my upper world teacher kind of looks like a wizard.
Okay.
Probably he wasn't one. He was more like an alchemist, really.
Okay. For some reason, I feel like your teacher would look like a wizard. I don't know. Like, I just feel like that sounds right.
Yeah, and it took me a real long time to like have any kind of success with working with the upper world teacher because I'm more attuned to the lower world.
Okay.
So, but I took like lots of classes and then a 2-year like intensive training program where we were half the time working with your upper world teacher. So I got very familiar. So, and then they have like, well, we're not going to do this in our class because that's more advanced. They have like your teacher can take you to a master teacher, which is kind of like then, a whole nother.
Okay.
And those can get really strange and, those have more like overarching, like upper world teachers for you. And like bigger topics, you can go like say, hey, what's the nature of time and the universe? That don't ask your teacher that. Go.
I probably will.
I mean, you can, but it's going to be very specific to you. But if you're wanting to know, hey, what's this deal with parallel universes? How does that work? Well, the funny thing is that like everybody starts doing like very similar stuff, and then once you get the basics down, people quickly start to diverge, and like it all has to do with like their inclinations, their particular talents and interests. So like what I do shamanically may look very different from what somebody else does because they're exploring different topics, working with different types of healing, or they have a different cultural paradigm where like they might have a different religion than I do, so they explore it that way. So and I've seen people who are very devout Christians but also practice shamanism. And so like, for instance, like someone who's very Christian, like their upper world teacher could be Jesus. I mean, it could be something like that. It could be a prophet, could be an angel, could be an alien, it could be all sorts of things. The thing is to not try and decide ahead of time or speculate like, what if it's this? What if it's that? Because that kind of gets in the way of you experiencing that kind of the meet cute. You don't want to get yourself in the way of the meet cute between you and your upper world teacher, because you want to have that nice fresh experience without projecting onto it. So, I think that's part of like learning in shamanism is that you're always projecting onto your journey because you can't help it. I mean, you are who you are. You grew up where you grew up. You have a certain lens that you see the world through, and so when you're having this sort of pretty much telepathic communion with another being, they're going to use what you got to reach you. So, and I think that's why it's really interesting to do things in a group setting, because people have different lenses. When you start to put all the pieces together, it's like, oh, okay, I was seeing the part of it that I could see. This person is seeing this part from their perspective. So it's also nice to have men and women in a class. It doesn't usually work out that way. It's gotten better, I would say, in the last couple of years, because it used to be like I'd be the lone guy.
Wow.
Like circle. There might be one other, and he was usually like 50 years older than I was.
Yeah.
And so, but it's starting to become, I think, more accessible. And I think part of it is because there's so many women that teach And I know from experience that, they're good teachers, and their experience of a journey might be vastly different because of the enculturation that men and women have. And what I mean by that is, like, when I journey, I'm very linear. I'm like, I want to go to the place, talk to the spirit, get the answers, get the thing, and then come back. I'm not interested in what else here. And because of the way that most of the women are brought up, they're a little bit more open and like saying, okay, what else is going on over here? And it's a more kind of holistic way. That's not always the case. It's more individual than that. That's just like a trend because of the way the different way that we raise boys and girls.
Okay.
And it's also something that you can learn to overcome, because when I wrote my first book, I was like, I can't just I went here, did this, came back. No, I'm like, you gotta set the scene, right? What did it look like? What was going on in the background? What was going on over here? You have to take an interest in everything around you.
Yes, yeah.
So how long are each journeys to each of the worlds? Like, what's the time frames?
Usually I try to keep them about 15 minutes.
Okay.
But like the first few journeys you take can be like super short. They're
Okay.
like, okay, go here, find this, come back. Like, because like where you start, you're gonna you have to find your entrance point. I'm like, so you're gonna go there really quick, less than 5 minutes. Okay, got it, come back. And then I'll give you like the next thing that you're gonna do.
Okay.
And then, then the first, I guess, full journey will be like, let's go find your power animal now. Okay.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Are there any tools we need for this course?
You will absolutely need a journal or a notebook and something to write with.
Okay.
Depending on what the space setup is, you might want to bring like a mat to lay down on.
Okay.
Because some people like to journey laying down.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
And other people like to journey sitting up. And it just depends. And it's good to learn to do it in various positions. If you've got a drum, bring the drum.
Yeah.
And usually like a frame drum is best, because you can hold it and dance around with it. And if you don't have that, a rattle will work as well. I will have extra rattles. I have 2 drums. That's all I have.
Okay.
That is like where my teachers beat me out. They've got like 15, 20 drums. I don't know, because they've got them hanging all over the walls and stuff. I don't have a house yet, so.
I wonder if they'll have.
They'll probably have some.
I feel like they have like everything that play.
Yeah, I should actually get with them and say, hey, you might want to carry some drums if you don't already.
They'd probably be open.
They'd probably be open to it. Yeah.
Make some workshop day sales. Be like, I would really like a drum more by the end of the day.
This is like the perfect store to do this at.
Yeah, we like them a lot.
We do.
If you can't tell. Like,
they're awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the name makes sense too now that I think of Menagerie, because like Menagerie is like a group of like exotic animals, isn't it? And we're gonna be, the first thing we'll be doing is like, let's go find your power animal.
I'm excited for that experience, because I don't engage much with animals in the spiritual way. Usually it's like angels and deities and stuff, like my spirit guides. But yeah, that'll be really cool. I was wondering if you could explain the different worlds for our listeners.
Sure, as the best of my ability, because I don't know everything about the worlds. There's a lot of them.
Okay.
So we're literally projecting our consciousness.
Compared to like astral travel, is this lean into that, or what are the similarities?
The similarities is that you're sending your perception out of your normal frame of awareness.
Okay.
The out of body is like where you have like this full on sensory experience where there is like a total separation. So you're not aware of what's going on in your body while you're having an astral projection. So that's where it's different. Where like at any point in time, you're like, I'm not liking what's going on right here. I'm just gonna open my eyes,
Okay.
Projected, you open your astral eyes are already open. It's sort of like, I find my way back here.
Yeah.
So, and similar for those that have tried psychedelics, a lot of stuff that you will experience in a journey could be very similar to a psychedelic journey. But at any point in time, if you're like, okay, this is too heavy for me, I'm just going to open my eyes, and you open your eyes and you're out. Whereas if you're taking a psychedelic, you got to wait it out. I mean,
you're trapped in the time frame. Yeah.
Oh, I'm ready for this. This would be great. I hope I do have that experience. I don't have a lot of visual stuff, and when I do, it's important. Usually, I'm finding there's a lot more audio in my like if we talk about clairs, it seems that's the case, which is funny because I'm an artist, so you would think that
I would visual,
yeah. So, but like I do get them, and when I do, it's like for it's important and it's
profound.
Yeah, it's always like, oh my goodness, but yeah, a lot of sensations and stuff like that in the body.
Yeah, I think one of the most well-known shamanic practitioners in North America, I think Sandra Ingerman, she wrote the book Soul Retrieval. If I'm remembering correctly, like she does not get visuals in her journey. It's all dark, and she hears.
Okay. Goodness, watch that be my.
Yeah,
I have to read that.
Yeah,
and so like some people are like, I didn't see anything. I'm like, okay, well, what was going on with your other senses?
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I had my Reiki attunement, I felt a lot in my body and ears, like hearing, where you had visuals.
I had insane visuals.
In your experience.
Wild visuals.
Yeah.
Life's not been the same. In a good way. I'm pleased with my journey, but okay, let's talk about the worlds. Can you explain
world.
Sorry. You got off track.
Yeah, it happens.
It's easier. It's easy to do. I'll be like on my best behavior in the class. Be like, okay, we got to do this.
You're in professionalism.
But the 3 worlds, and I say that loosely because like there are clusters of worlds in each of these different paradigms. So like you've got the lower world, and that's like where your animal spirits, your stone spirits, plant spirits will be, spirits of like mountains, lakes, streams, all that sort of thing. So what do you think of like as the actual physical space of the natural world? That's what you're going to find there. And then you have the upper world, which you've got things like, ancestor spirits, spirit guides, teachers, angels, deity forms, star being people, all the things you can think of, that are just out in the way out. That's where you get a lot of that stuff from. And mythic beings as well. And then in the middle world, I mean, we're in the middle world, right? We're in one of the middle worlds right now. A good example for like another middle world would be like the realm of fairy. And that's just one. There's a lot of middle realms. Some of them more friendly than others.
Okay.
We're kind of like in the middle of the road.
Okay. Well, I don't want to go to one of those, stumble into the more not friendly areas, let's say.
Yeah, that's like going into a really bad neighborhood.
That's funny.
Cool. And we're just doing upper and lower for your class.
We're going to do upper and lower, starting with lower world first.
Okay.
Middle world stuff tends to get tricky because, as you're aware, in this world we can lie to one another and to ourselves. So
it takes like the seasoned practitioner to do that.
That's what sounds
you got some discernment when it comes to middle world. I mean, you should still have discernment in lower world, upper world, too, because sometimes, and this is why it's really good to develop like a really strong relationship with both your power animal and your upper world teacher, because they will take you to see other beings, and because they're not like they're focused on you. You might need a specialist for something who has like a special area of knowledge. But one of the things I remember my teacher telling us a story was she'd gone on this journey and some upper world being had put something like in her head, like to open, and she was having like these horrible migraines, like debilitating. And so she went back to her upper world teacher. And she's like, oh my God. And she brought her back to the being, and she basically read that being a riot act. What the hell do you think you're doing?
Yeah.
How dare you? You can take that out right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That's one thing I've like with these like divinities and stuff. It's like I'm in a physical body. Like, like that might hurt. Like,
why do you do that? Why should you do dirty?
I haven't experienced that.
And again, that being was not malevolent in any shape or form, but I don't know if they'd ever been in a human form before, or it had been so long since they'd been in a human form they didn't quite understand the tolerance limits that we have for certain energies. And when we do particular journeys, I'm like, people are always shocked. Like there's sometimes a physical effect from coming out of that journey, or like a ripple in our life, in our events around us. And so like when I was doing journeys into the chakras, and these were all healing journeys, I would do one and I would like not do another one for like weeks on end. sometimes months, because it would have that kind of deep visceral response. And sometimes I'll do just different journeys, and I will have like physical consequences for those journeys. And I don't mean consequences as they're always bad, but there's like detoxing, adaptation, having stuff float up to the surface to be dealt with. All that can happen, and the deeper you go, the more that happens.
Like physical things, yeah. With Reiki, anyways, you can get like thirsty, have to go to the bathroom more.
Oh yeah, we'll be going to the bathroom a lot.
Okay.
For cleansing. This
Like,
is so interesting.
drink a lot of water, and like before and after, it's like before and after each stream, like who needs to go to the bathroom? Everybody's hand will raise, like, okay, go do that. Something about journeying into other realms makes us thirsty and have to pee.
Yeah, you know what's weird? This with women. We've talked to other female like practitioners who engage in spirit work, and there's been times where like your period will start. It'll just start. Like Reiki attunements do that. So it's like really interesting how it can like really like.
I also feel like
do
too,
it,
like
know?
any intense healing, the trigger, it literally triggers it. It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
I think our endocrine system is so sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because particularly when talking about your cycle, I mean, originally that would have been regulated by the light of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And of course, nowadays we have like electric lights and everything else, so that light trigger is not the same. But I mean, the whole endocrine system has to respond to the environment. And when you switch up the energy in the environment, it's going to change the response in the body.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's all really cool. Like, I like love it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was your most interesting journey that you're willing to share? I know.
How far back you want to go? It's like the whole time. I had like a really unexpected journey where I was going to see, I forget why I was going to see one of my power animals to do, I think I was going to do particularly something, and there was going to journey back into a dream, which is a middle world journey.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So dreams fall
Maybe
into the
we'll
middle.
do that. I mean, we might do that one.
Okay.
But we'll probably run out of time. But I was going in and I was looking at my power animal. I was looking in their eye, and I saw like a little spiral staircase in their eye, and it was like drawing me in. I was like, but no, we were supposed to do that. And I was like, I'm here and this is happening. I'm going to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like literally journeyed inside of that power animal via their eye, and I went down and I came through this door, and there was another spirit in there that came back with me, and I brought it back. And I was
really
like,
trippy.
Yeah, it's like very.
it was so yeah, it was like, you know, if I couldn't just open my eyes, it would seem like a psychedelic trip right there. It's like, okay, this is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I love that. So you mentioned dreams. Can you explain like that a little bit? Like, where do dreams fall into it?
Sure. This gets into a little my personal cosmology, so which also came from a master teacher, so it is roughly shamanic in leanings, you know, because I was interested in like parallel universes and parallel selves.
Okay.
It's like,
So you are asking the hard questions.
You are asking the hard questions.
ones. I'm always interested in some of these big like. Now this came out of like the intensive 2-year training I was in, like where we did ask these big questions, but I went back and asked more because I was really interested in that. And I drew diagrams and everything in my notebook. It was just like, but I want to know, okay, so if we have other selves in different, you know, universes, it's like, do we all share the same spirit? And they're like, no. And I was like, oh. He's like, each body in every universe has its own spirit to animate it. He's like, all of them, but you all have one soul. They are connected. And in the dream world, those different spirits can communicate across universes via their connection of the soul. So you can have these, you know, bleed overs from one universe to the other. In fact, a condition affecting a parallel self can manifest in you even if you don't have the physical cause for it. So by dealing with what's going on in this other realm, you can sometimes heal yourself, but also heal that other self too.
Oh, I have a really creepy story.
Go ahead.
Okay. So this is like really like tripping me out a little bit. But so the other night I had like this dream that like I hurt my ankle, and then when I woke up in the morning, like my ankle's been like a wreck like all week, and it feels like I sprained it, but I didn't do anything to sprain
To cause it.
Yeah, now I'm wondering if like some other version of myself like
The universe is over that way.
Yeah.
like
Take your pain back.
Yeah, come on, man. Why are you
Your
doing
universes to, I think that would be your left to that self, and see how that works. Use the distance symbol. Try it out.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm going to venture.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things with shamanism is a lot of experimentation. Once you get the basic tools and you start, you develop rapport with your power animal and your upper world teacher, then you can explore lots of different things, or say, like, I'm interested in lots of different topics, or I'll have a client that stumps me and I'll be like, okay, let me go ask about this.
Oh,
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot at all about shamanism. You're taking me into a whole other space in my head about it. I had no idea. Like, I've heard about the spirit animal, stuff like that, but I didn't know the extent of it all. And then you can ask these beings.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I mean, that is the basis of all religion. I mean, was that at some point, somebody had an interaction with a non-physical being, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, exchanging information, and then that became its own set of beliefs and practices. And so it's all about, that communion. So really, it's about developing the rapport, the communion with your helpers, your guides, your power animals, your teachers, so that you have, tools to call upon, or resources that when you exceed your own knowledge and senses, and you're like, okay, I don't know. Or for me, it's like, I'll have an idea and it sounds like a great idea, or it might look like a great idea on paper, but because of my limited human understanding, I don't quite see all the repercussions of this. So now, when I get a really great idea, I'm like, oh, that's amazing. And you get that burst of like euphoria from that eureka, I've got it. I think I can do this thing. Now I'm usually more likely to go into it like, okay, this sounds like a great idea to me. Is it terrible? Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm so curious how the entities that I already know, how that's going to play into it. Like if I'm going to encounter them in
The
this,
higher
or if
realm.
I'm going to meet new ones. Like I'm really curious about that.
I was feeling, what if we go to the higher realm and get reprimanded?
I will speak to that, actually.
Okay.
So I have been reprimanded, but here's the thing. And if I could figure out how to do it the way that they do it, I'd be like the best person ever. Like, because they have corrected me in a way that, it's like if somebody else said this, I'd be like, you need to shut the hell up.
For you.
Shut your mouth. Don't talk to me again. Kind of thing. But when it comes from them, it's the way they do it, and it's that energy of really unconditional love that accompanies with it, which is like, they're not judging you. They're just saying this because they're like, hey, this is not going to go well for you. You need to stop doing this. And see, that's the best I can approximate that, but still that could come off as condescending or judgmental from me. But when they do it, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like, you really need to stop doing this. This is going to hurt you. And it's going to hurt other people. And so it's like, you're not going to be like called to the principal's office. No one's going to throw lightning bolts at you. They'll usually say, hey, you need to stop doing that.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
I think it's going to open up another...
Yeah.
I don't know. Can't find the words to say.
Yeah. So do people experience, because I know with like astral travel and with dreams that there's like emotions that you can like kind of experience in those spaces, but you can't like put words to. Is that something that happens whenever one is journeying?
It can. Like, there's a lot of things that we'll do is we'll merge with the spirit for a bit, and there'll be energy that passes between you and that spirit. Mm-hmm. And then you always unmerge.
Okay.
I'll do this in class. I'll be like, don't forget to unmerge, people.
You're like, I'll be able to tell if you haven't.
I might not be able to, but eventually you'll be able to tell because stuff will happen. I mean,
we're gonna email you and be like, Thomas, I don't think I did this right.
Yeah. I mean, because there's been times when I've merged with like a collective of spirits to do healing work. Uh-huh. I did unmerge, but there's like a time limit to where I can stay merged with certain energies. And if I exceed that time limit, I'm going to be in bed for 3 days.
Oh God.
So
Yeah.
just because it blows the circuits, right?
Yeah. And after this, are people going to experience like strange dreams and get answers to questions for an extended period of time, or is it just case by case?
I think it will depend on the person.
Uh-huh.
I've had people who haven't even really trained to it, but have gone to like a ceremony or a thing, or somebody who went to one of the Day of the Dead gatherings here, where we did like despacho for the ancestors and stuff, which is a ceremony of, helping the dead either pass over or to be, balanced in their new realm, and just to like keep that flow of information going, where like this person literally had like a crow land on like the branch above them and like start talking to them in their father's voice.
Mm-mm.
I've never had that happen.
Yeah.
But then again, my father's still alive. So,
Yeah.
so if it did happen, I'd be like, why didn't you just call?
Yeah.
What's
Thanks,
going
Dad.
So, I mean, yeah. And you'll notice like there'll be trends or times in your life where it seems like almost like spirit is reaching across to get to you. I just have gone through a couple weeks of that where it's like something is reaching out, like both in dreams and then also in the waking world, where it's almost like someone will come in. I literally had this happen a few weeks ago where I was walking my dog and then this little girl comes running out, little toddler, and I'm like, uh-oh. Because I've got a big dog and is very excitable, loves children, but can scare children too because he's so big.
Mm.
And and he was a very good boy. He was a very good boy. But then the mother came out, and then he was jumping with her because she had no boundaries. And, and at some point, he licked the little girl, and she's kind of like,
Yeah.
And the mother said, "Oh," and I said, "Oh, he gave you a kiss." And the mother turns to me and says to me this, she's like, I hold out hope that someday someone will kiss you the way that you deserve.
What?
And I'm thinking, yeah, I know, exactly right. I'm like,
Oh my God.
do I know you?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
and it was like, it's not like, do I know you? No, but it was like, I'm racking my brain. How does this person know who I am? Like, do they know? I'm trying to like, have I forgotten who this person is? Like, how do they know me? And I walked away from there, and it came to me pretty quickly. Like, I don't think that was them saying that, but it was just so specific. And I was like, okay, so one of my connections pulled off
through her
like that when you took the girls out at the Afrobeats. Remember?
I did. I had a
Yeah.
wild experience. Our younger sisters are in their early 20s, and they have
Yes.
been enjoying the nightlife occasionally.
Yeah, I've been like tapping
And
out.
yeah, you've been tapping out. But sometimes, like, we're a little sister, so I'll tag along to be like bodyguard and to try to deflect, people. And I go out with them, and I'm pretty. I wasn't really partaking in a lot of the libations, so I was just like kept looking at my clock, looking at the watch, like, when can we leave? So I'm standing against the wall, and I'm like on my phone, and this mystical woman, this lady, high vibrational out the gate, like she was like a beam of light, and she comes over to me. I'm by myself against the wall. There's nobody near me. I'm like, and she stands right next to me, bumps my shoulder. And she gave me this channeled message, and I'm not like a tiny part of it, but it was essentially like she like read my soul and could tell what I was thinking, and it was wild. And then she gave me a hug, and I was like, okay, like, thanks, like, I needed this message. I instantly connected, like, this is not her speaking. Mm-hmm. By the way she was moving and everything, this is not this lady. Like, she just had a walk-in of some sort and just gave me this message that was completely unrelated to what we were doing. Mm-hmm. And it was a beautiful message. But yeah, I love when that stuff happens, though, because I feel like sometimes we are the messengers for people.
Yeah, I mean, I have a client now who apparently I met like a decade ago or something. I didn't remember meeting her. And this is when I worked at a health food store. And she's like, I came in and you didn't say a word. And I was like, and then she apparently mentioned having seen butterflies or something everywhere else. And apparently I said, have you ever heard of animal medicine? I don't remember any of this happening.
It's so
And
funny.
apparently she went out and bought that book, and it set her on this, 10-year journey. And I'm like, I don't remember saying any of that. I was like, how much of the other stuff am I saying that I'm not aware of?
Yeah. You're like, I'm just living.
Yeah, you're just
But like, do I have missing time? No, what's going on here? But yeah, and I mean, I've had dreams as well where like people who have passed on showed up, and I know it was them. It wasn't just a dream echo of them. And these are people who I have actively sought to communicate with, like for a year or two after their past, and like nothing. Couldn't find them anywhere. Couldn't get. They were at such a level of existence that it was beyond my ability to reach.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, here they are, and I'm like, okay, something's going on. Something's trying to reach me. Something's trying to, because I'd been in a dark place because of the past few years, and I'm just like, yeah, I know I'm missing bits of me right now. I'm like, I need to start calling that back and, shedding some of this heaviness that has sort of just been everywhere for everyone.
Oh yeah.
So it's nice to know that there are other beings that will say, yeah, I'm rooting for you. I really want good stuff for you. And I think, if there's anything that I could convey to people, it's like, yeah, I am rooting for you too. I want things to be okay for you. And we need to do that for ourselves and other people. And, these are just, people think of shamanism, and I'm like, it's a set of tools and practices, and with some paradigm elements to it. So some worldviews, but it's very flexible with that. So predominantly, I think of it as a set of tools, a way to interact, a way to gather information, a way to connect.
Love that.
I do too.
So for the listener, we've had Thomas on a couple times. Go listen to those episodes to get more information about Thomas and all the stuff that he knows about and does. It's amazing. Like, we're so lucky to be connected with you.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm really excited for this class. I think this is going to put me on a different trajectory again. Once again.
It's gonna be fun, and I hope to get in like a little bit early and maybe like do some book signings or maybe do some ceremony.
Yeah. And we're down for whatever.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I realized like not everybody can do a workshop, not everybody can, has the money set aside for that. So I'm like, I want to do some things that other people can have and connect to, that might not, like, but they could come to and interact, and then like maybe next time they could do something more.
On that note, we'll talk to you again soon.